Hi everyone, trust you all are doing well. So we finished up with creating components. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to learn how to create pages with their routes in Next.js. But before we do that, let's quickly show you two extensions because I know someone might ask what extensions am I using. So let's quickly go in here to my extensions. You're going to look for Next.js snippets. All right, this one right here. So just by Gangwell. Just make sure that you get that one if you want it installed. Now, what that does is just allows you to create components just with a couple of basically characters. Now, the next one is the Next.js React snippets right here. So this one is quite nice as well. So that's totally up to you. Okay. Now, let's move on. So this is basically if we want to add a page. So I want to add an about page and I want to add a services page, but the services like this and a nested services with a services 1 and a services 2 right here. So how do we do that in Next.js? Now, Next.js, all you have to remember is making use of a file-based routing system. So what that means is whatever files you add in here will be available publicly via the route. So let me make an example. So let me just create a new file in here and I'm going to call this one docs.js and I'm just going to basically create an arrow function. So as you can see, just docs right there. Now the convention is this part right here, the constant and the export. Just make sure it is capitalized like that. Okay, that is just a convention. I'm just going to do an H1 and I'm going to say dogs like this. Okay, so let's quickly go to that URL. So we added that file in there, docs.js, and if we go to /dogs, as you can see, there you can see it right there. So Next.js deals and handles the routing system automatically at the back end, all right, in its part right there, while checking what files are inside that pages folder and create the routes accordingly. All right, so that's an example. So let's quickly delete this. So let's quickly create our about page right there. As you can see, now that we deleted that page, as you can see, the page is no longer found. Okay, so let's quickly create an about page. Now, this page we can create in two ways. Now, we have seen the first way. So if we do the first way, so about.js. So let's quickly create an arrow function for that. So I'm just going to add an about, and I'm going to do an H1. Let's do an H1 and I'm just going to say about page. Okay, so that is the first way to do it. So let's go to /about quickly. So if we go in there, about, as you can see, we're on the about page. Now, the other way to do it is if you create a folder. So let's quickly create a folder and I'm going to call this one about. And then inside this folder, I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to call this one index.js. Now, the index.js is the home page of the folder that you're in. Okay, so just remember that. Okay, so let's quickly create another arrow function, or you can create normal functions, or you can create a class component, if you guys remember from the previous episode. So this one, I'm just going to say about like this, and I'm going to say an H1, and I'm going to call this one folder about. Now, there is a reason for my madness where I'm creating two about pages because I want to show you something. Now, the about this page right here will take precedence. Okay, so the about page folder right here with the index, this page will be ignored because there's already a file. So the file will take precedence over the folder right there. So just remember that. Okay, so let me quickly delete this file and you'll see what happens here. So let me quickly delete it. So as you can see, the folder about appears right there. Okay, so that's basically two ways you can create a file basically, or a page, I need to say, in Next.js with its URI. Okay, so that's the first one. So we dealt with this one right here. So we know how to create that. And obviously you can add a lot of additional content right here. Whatever you need to do in this component, I'm just showing the basics. All right, so let's quickly go to the next one. So we want to create a services with a services 1 and a services 2 nested files. All right, so we know how to create a folder right now. So let's go to the pages right here, create a new folder, and I'm calling this one services right there. Now let's quickly go in here and we're going to create an index.js. All right, so if we go to just / services, then we're going to get to this index page. Okay, so let's just quickly do that. So as you can see, the snippets is quite handy. It makes it quite easy to do it. So I'm just going to say services right here, and I'm just going to do an H1, and I'm just going to call it services. So let's go to / services right there. Right, practice is always good, so the more you do, the better you get into the habit of doing it. So just follow along. All right, so that's basically we got our services page, the services and the index right there. Now that's not what we wanted to do, but we want to get to this page right here. The next thing that we want to do is we want to go to the services 1 and services 2. So how do we do that? Now if we go to the services folder right here and we create a new file, and in here, we do a services 1.js. All right, and let's create another one. Another one is services 2.js. All right, so that's basically our two files. This one is just service. So let me just rename that, make sure, because React will basically Next.js, pardon me, will create a route based on the file name right there. Okay, so that's basically our services 1. So let's quickly create an arrow function, and I'm just going to call this 1, and I'm just going to say an H1, and I'm just going to say service 1. So we know we're on this page right here. Let's go to services 2 right here, and we're going to do an arrow function again, and I'm just going to say 2 return, and I'm just going to do an H1, and I'm just going to say service 2 right there. That's how easily you can create a nested one. So let's quickly see if we go to services 1 and services 2. So let's just go to / services, and let's go to service 1. Right, as you can see that page, all right, there needs to be services. So as you can remember, so as you can see there, we're on service 1. Okay, let's go to service 2. Right there, as you can see, we get to service 2. That's how easily we can add a page in Next.js with its routes, and you can create a nested files that easily with Next.js with its nested routes as well. It handles all of that for you out of the box. You don't need to configure anything. All of that is done out of the box. All right, so there's another thing that we need to now find out. Now let's say you have a blog. So if we go to localhost, and we're going to just do this, and we're going to do products or articles. Let me just do a simple one. Articles /1, articles /2, because all of these kind of data we get from the database. So how do we deal with that? The Next.js has got that covered for us as well. So I'll see you guys in the next episode where we're going to deal with this part right here. So see you in the next one. Adios.